I'd like to welcome you all tonight to the Greater Lake Trobe Board of Education meeting. We have a lot of people here. I see people are social distancing and wearing their masks. Thank you very much for doing that. We appreciate it. It's my duty to announce that we had an executive session at 6 o'clock tonight to discuss personnel and legal issues. I usually give a quote to start off the meetings. I'm going to do that tonight because I think we've been in crazy times and it's been stressful for a lot of people, myself included. People have been staying home, they haven't been going out. We're worried about school starting, we're worried about even going to the beach for crying out loud. So there's lots of things that we worry about, and all the social unrest in our country seems to be getting people down as well. But I wanted to let you know that these people here work very hard for your community. Everybody sitting up here at this table has put in all kinds of extra time and energy to make sure that Greater Lake Trobe is doing the best for the community and for their students. So I appreciate their help very much in doing that. There's been a lot of thought going in tonight, what we've been talking about, and it's really been a Herculean effort by all these people, and I commend them for it. The first quote is from Martin Luther King, and he said, "The ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in times of challenge and controversy." And the other one is from Winston Churchill, who spoke these words during the crisis of the London bombing. And he said, "Danger gathers upon our path. We cannot afford, nor do we have a right to look back. We must always look forward." I would like you all to stand, please, and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hoskin, would you please call the roll, please?
Mr. Hauser?
Here.
Mrs. Kozer?
Here.
Mr. Locascio?
Here.
Mrs. Maines? Here. Mr. McCommons? Mr. McCommons is here. Mr. Music?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Mrs. Surratt? Here. Dr. Zorich?
Here. Okay, we got a forum. I'm going to ask Dr. Tepper, please, to give us a superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Zorich. I would like to thank everyone for attending this evening tonight. A copy of Greater Lake Trobe School District's Continuity of Education Plan has been made available to all attendees. I hope everybody had an opportunity to get a plan before they came into the auditorium. This evening, our Board of Education will be voting on 3 plans: a phased school reopening health and safety plan, a continuity of education plan, and a return to play plan for voluntary off-season workouts. Once board approved, these plans will be posted on our school district website and submitted to the Pennsylvania Department of Education. I cannot stress enough that these plans are fluid. They can change and be modified as we continue to receive updates from the Center for Disease and Control, the Pennsylvania Department of Education, the World Health Organization, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and our own local healthcare experts. As you are aware, a survey was sent to parents and guardians soliciting opinions on a hybrid instructional model, which is a mix of brick and mortar and online instruction, as well as a traditional face-to-face return to brick and mortar 5 days a week. That was the focus of the survey. We also posed a question regarding transportation, if bus rides become a barrier to allow students to return to school, and to ask if parents could provide transportation for their students if needed. The results of the survey were shared with our parents and guardians, showing that the vast majority of parents want their children back to school in a brick and mortar setting. Concerns were raised about childcare if in a hybrid model, as well as the barriers to online instruction for parents who work. Various opinions were stated regarding the wearing of masks. Concerns regarding improving our online instruction were raised, and many comments regarding needing more synchronous or real-time face-to-face instruction if students would be receiving online instruction, the fact that Greater Latrobe needed to improve in that area. Additionally, some parents are choosing not to send their children to brick and mortar until a vaccine is developed. Other parents feel the need to have their children in a brick and mortar setting with their teachers and classmates and attending school 5 days a week, with their children attending school 5 days a week, and feel that outweighs the risk of the virus. Parents voice concerns regarding the social, emotional well-being of their children if not able to return to school in a brick and mortar setting, as well as the academic impact for not participating in face-to-face instruction. Our administrative team and Board of Education carefully reviewed all concerns and comments and respect everyone's personal opinions. Our goal is to have our students back to a brick and mortar setting 5 days a week for all grade levels, as long as our county remains in the green phase. We will be following social distancing guidelines as well as other health and safety guidelines that are listed in our continuity of education and phased reopening safety plan. However, as stated in our plan, the district reserves the right to move to a more restrictive action at any time should local circumstances dictate the need to do so. To sit here on June 30th and guarantee that we will be returning to school 5 days a week in a brick and mortar setting is impossible. However, that is our goal, but we must wait to make that decision closer to the start of the school year. If a surge of the virus in our Greater Latrobe School District community dictates that we cannot return to brick and mortar 5 days a week, another plan must be put into place in order for our families to be able to prepare. Included in the continuity of education plan, there is a description of the hybrid model if we were to fall back in the yellow phase, or if local circumstances would dictate that we cannot return 5 days a week. During this model, 2 groups of students would attend schools on different days to decrease the number of students in our buildings. The model would include a Monday, Tuesday brick and mortar for students in Group A, and a Thursday, Friday brick and mortar instruction for students in Group B. All students would participate in online instruction with their teachers on Wednesdays, and the buildings would be closed for more intensive disinfecting and cleaning procedures. Our students would be scheduled according to household groups, so they would be on the same schedule. During the time that a group of students would be home, they would be participating in both synchronous and asynchronous instruction. Students at home would have the opportunity to join their classes during their scheduled time through our Google Meet. The students would be able to participate in instruction through a chat or live process. Additionally, we are very pleased to state that our EWCTC students would be able to attend the EWCTC daily, even in a hybrid model. Since we have a morning group of students and an afternoon group of students who attend EWCTC, the facility would be able to accommodate students on a daily basis. Within the next 2 weeks, your child's building principal will reach out to share more detailed information regarding the hybrid model and your plans for your child's return to school. While it is not our goal to return in a hybrid model, we feel it is necessary for our families to have this information to plan accordingly. Additionally, parents who choose to keep their children home full-time may participate in Latrobe's online instruction with their students' own teachers. If we would happen to fall back to the red phase, it is inevitable that we will be in a full-time online instructional model. We are planning several changes in our online model, as stated earlier, to provide real-time instruction face-to-face with your child's teachers. Actually, a student would follow their daily schedule and log on during the assigned class to participate in the instruction. In closing, I must reiterate, our goal in all of this is to return to school 5 days a week in a brick and mortar setting while following health and safety recommendations. Typically, there is no school board meeting in July, but given the current situation, we will be holding a meeting on Tuesday, July 21st to review the most current information regarding the return to school. Thank you.
We have a section here for hearing of visitors, part 1. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak about any item on our agenda tonight. There will also be time at the end of the meeting to discuss any other concerns. We ask if you have comments to introduce yourself, give your name and your address. Please try to limit your comments to less than 5 minutes. We have a microphone down here at front. We ask that if you have a mask with you with talking on the microphone that you wear it, because that would protect the other person coming up and speaking after you. So if anyone has any comments to make, we welcome you to come down and state your name, your address, and address the board.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Batza. I reside at 17 Avenue Way in the city of Latrobe. I have 2 students who have graduated from this district, 2 students in your high school this coming fall. I just wanted to come before you now and say thank you. You guys have done an amazing job with our students, and it's apparent that you're continuing to put them first and foremost. And I just wanted you to hear from at least one person that it is greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Christina Armenius. I reside at 912 Hamilton Avenue, Latrobe. I have a son who's going to be starting first grade. I'm also a physician in the area. I want to thank you for the models, and I do agree that hopefully our goal is to return to brick and mortar in the green phase. I do want to point out that the American Academy of Pediatrics just had new guidelines that do state that they are all for 5-day brick and mortar instruction for all of our students. It is really essential for our students to be in the classroom. One, for social and emotional needs. We have seen an increase in depression and anxiety among our children and adolescents with the initial quarantine. So I'm very scared to see what will happen if they cannot return to school. I am also concerned for families, if there were a hybrid model, on how they're going to be able to afford daycare. Daycares cannot, one, I'm afraid that daycares will not be able to take more children, and it's going to be way more costly for parents at this time who have lost their jobs and having a hard time. So I just wanted to reiterate and thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity to say some words. My name is Rebecca Augustoni.
Would you use your mask, please, where the mic is? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the opportunity to actually talk this evening and just mention that, first of all, my name is Rebecca Augustoni. I reside at 14 Cross Creek Lane in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. I'm here though in Unity Township, and I have my son, Nolan, actually attends as a senior this year. I wanted to ask the question, if someone could answer for my other son, who will be a first-time student in the junior high school, although I don't think it matters whether he'll be attending in the junior high school or the senior high school. For first-time students, when will students be given perhaps an opportunity to see the school? He's never seen the school and been inside the school. It would be the first time that he would be attending on the first day of school. So my concern is how comfortable or uncomfortable will he feel for the first time, never having seen the school, met anybody. I see that some of the opportunities to have different events are off the table right now during the coronavirus pandemic. So that's a concern for me as a mom. And also I wanted to pose the question, and I think it's important to mention that just as we see in the news, the coronavirus task force, if you will, it comes and speaks in front of, the world, if you will. I think it's important that the school thinks about those people, not school board members per se, but maybe perhaps Dr. Armenius or some different community members relying on Excella Health, some different parents, just a place where people can go to get information, ask questions, provide, if you don't have the answers, that you could provide answers, find out ways, and those people in the community who you could actually rely on, who have the expertise to actually address questions that might come up, or just in general put parents at ease whenever they are concerned about the well-being, and welfare of their children. So I wanted to just, kind of like a food for thought, if you will, to take the time perhaps over the summer to put some people together who have those kinds of skills and expertise. And thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I can respond to that. As far as students being new to the junior high school, we do have a web transition program, which is where everybody belongs. And again, it's a wonderful program where students are assigned a mentor, and they actually come into the school a day prior to the official start of school, when all students are in, and participate in many bonding activities. They get to meet their teachers and actually go through their daily schedule. Again, we hope that we are able to do that and give that opportunity for our students to have that wonderful transition day. If for some reason we are not able to do that, we are already meeting with our junior and senior high school principals, because our senior high has a similar program called the LINK program for ninth graders coming up into the senior high school, where they are assigned a mentor, student mentor, and participate in welcoming activities and team bonding, touring the school, and meeting their teachers as well. So our goal is to definitely be able to provide the web activities and the link crew activities, and it obviously would have to be modified in some cases due to social distancing, but that is our goal, and more information will be forthcoming on that, as well as a group of individuals meeting. I can state that since March 13th, pretty much on a weekly basis, the county superintendents have had the opportunity to meet via Zoom with Dr. Will Jenkins from Excella Health about COVID and about recommendations for the school. And in addition to that, Dr. Mills, in fact, we were just on the phone with Dr. Mills this afternoon prior to the school board meeting and collaborating. He had also reviewed our plan, made some suggestions, etc. As we get closer to drilling down to the details of this plan, we will be meeting with teacher leaders We've already met with our Greater Latrobe Education Association, president, vice president, school nurses. I know Mrs. Delovish has done a lot of work with them. We will continue with our nurses, our teacher leaders, our school counselors, again, to provide as much information as we can to parents on those issues such as COVID. So thank you very much.
My son will be going into first grade here at LAS, and I just had 2 quick questions. I hadn't intended to speak this evening, so hopefully this is the proper forum for these 2 questions. One, I had heard rumor, fake news or whatever, over the past couple months, that if we do move into a situation where Group A and Group B are attending on alternating days, that it's possible that every other week those groups would flip-flop. In other words, Thursday, Friday would go Monday, Tuesday. Is that the case?
No, that is not.
Okay. And the second question is, I know we can't predict where we're going to be with this virus, I understand that, but if we move into the red phase, I'm concerned because my husband and I work full-time, as do many other folks who work in the electrical industry, so we're considered essential and are working even more hours than normal. I'm concerned about my child having to attend synchronous instruction. It's just not going to happen.
I understand that, and that is a great point, and I'm sorry if I was not clear on that. And I understand for working families, if we are in that phase, that there would have to be asynchronous instruction, and there would have to be office hours with our teachers during the times that possibly parents are available because of working homes. So I do understand that every single student will not be able to participate in a straight synchronous learning environment, and we are definitely planning for asynchronous as well to meet the needs of all of our students.
Because my child would definitely end up in daycare in any kind of possible...
Totally understand.
Yeah, so with not flipping back and forth and making those considerations will make it easier.
Absolutely. It would be consistent, a Monday, Tuesday, Group A, Thursday, Friday, Group B, working to get the household groups of students, siblings together on those same days. And we would not flip them for that very reason that you're discussing or asking about.
That's logical. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Brad Tomlin. I reside at 1716 Sawmill Road, Greensburg, Pennsylvania. That's also in Unity Township. I first wanted to say thank you, folks, for putting in all the hard work you're doing. It is very much appreciated. Also, thank you to Dr. Arminius for sharing the new guidelines on pediatric recommendations. I also am in the medical field and wanted to bring that to your attention, too. My question, though, resides around new learners. My child is going to be going into kindergarten. So I wanted to know what kind of support you're going to give parents to help first-time learners that do not have any foundational skills in place to self-learn, to effectively develop these types of skills.
Sure.
I will tell you that your situation is one that we have thought a lot about because it's your child's first experience in our school. I had a kindergartner 2 years ago myself. So what we would do, we have a lot of activities that should have and would be taking place right now for incoming kindergartners. As Dr. Tepper had said about Mrs. Augustoni's question about first-time junior high school students, we will do the best to provide those activities to get kids comfortable with their kindergarten teachers. As Dr. Tepper said earlier, our goal is to go back to school, brick and mortar. And part of the reason we want to do that is for incoming kindergartners, to build relationships with their teachers in the event that the pandemic comes back and we have to go online. Those relationships are so important. We're going to do the very best that we can. We'll flesh out the details, but we want to have transition activities. We want your kindergartner to meet their teachers. We want them to get used to the schools, and if we need to do it in small groups, maintaining social distancing, so that they get a look at the school, that's what we'll do. Support for parents might look like some professional development, some online learning, or some some small group learning for parents to come in and learn our system, the Google Classroom, the Google platform that we utilize successfully in the spring. So we would provide you assistance with that as well. As a new parent, you may not be aware, we did have technical support available to work students and parents through issues that they had. In this case, your 5-year-old might not be lighting up the tech support hotline, but you might, and that would be available to you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Yotzi. I live at 1005 Chestnut Street in Latrobe. I basically want to ask, because I have a sophomore and a junior, what does the grading system look like? I mean, my junior, well, last year would have been sophomore, worked endlessly during this break and would have ended up with straight A's, but we had no grading system. We did pass-fail. Also, going into that, she's going to be a junior looking to apply to college. What is that going to look like?
Sure, at this point in time, we would hope to maintain our traditional ABCD grading system. What I want to make clear is when we transitioned to the pass-fail system that we did, there were various reasons that we transitioned to that pass-fail. And I know that Mr. Maines developed a video with frequently asked questions and had shared that with parents as well. Various reasons for that is students, even though we gave them the Chromebooks and MiFi devices, there were families who constantly were calling our tech support stating parents are home working, kids are home from college, or 3 students are online together. We cannot get through, our bandwidth is not big enough. The inequities of that. Students who did not have the support that other students did have at home. Also, I'll be honest, teachers, the various level of teacher instruction. There are teachers that were much more comfortable, and even though we provided some professional development, there were other teachers that were not. So the difference in assignments that were given, the difference in the synchronous learning. We do, GPA is based on quarterly grades. And I will reiterate this again. Our 4th quarter was pass-fail, and our final was pass-fail. Our final grades are never worked in, don't count toward a GPA at all. That student's GPA is based on quarterly grades. Therefore, students, even though we had a pass-fail COVID, would still receive the GPA that they had at the end of the 3rd quarter. Additionally, a lot of research went into this with our school counselors, contacting universities and institutions about a pass-fail system, and to just name 2 of the biggest ones, Harvard and Yale. And they realized that they were going to have various transcripts come into their institutions and assured that there would not be a discrepancy on weight for students coming in with various grading models for that. So our goal would be to go traditional. That's what we're planning as we're sitting here today, and we hope to be able to do that in addition with the additional professional development that our teachers have received and will be receiving. We hope to, obviously take that online learning to a much higher level. Everybody was thrown into it, as you know, at the last minute.
I appreciate that. I appreciate everything the teachers did. I think you guys did a fantastic job. I'm just looking forward.
Sure, absolutely.
Also, a child with an IEP, are they going to go, what's the model look like for them?
And I will turn that over to our Director of Pupil Services, Mrs. Galovish.
Hi. To answer you quickly, anytime we talk about students with IEPs or any kind of extra learning needs, it's always an individual team decision. So when we are back to school in the fall, any child with an IEP, their IEP team will get together to look at the child's present levels, to look at their goals and strengths where they were back in March, to look at where they are when we return to school, and then make team decisions individualized based on that student and his or her individual needs. We don't want to do a one-size-fits-all because that's not fair to anybody.
Okay, thank you. Also, I was just wondering about fall sports and band, extracurricular activities, what does that look like?
Currently, right now, we have our return to play plan for off-season sports, but I'll turn that over to Mr. Mears.
Yeah, we have met, and I had to write a 4-page proposal to return to play for the school district, and that included the band. You know, they are extracurricular, just like football or anyone else. We've met with every coaching staff. They've been clearly guided on disinfecting, staying in their pods. Children can only drink one water bottle. They can't share drinks. They can't use the locker rooms. They go to the restroom. They have to go themselves and come back. And the coaches are following it, and impressively following it, I might add. And even in the band, we met with Mr. Sheridan. He laid out the band practices for us, and they are all put into pods. And that's the thing the kids are going to have to get used to. 2 words: social distancing and pods. The pod is where you put 15 football players, say, in a group, and they stay there all summer in that group. Because if one person's identified with COVID, that group has to self-isolate, not the entire football program. So you do that in all your sports. You're practicing in little pods to protect your programs so that you can keep moving forward. But yeah, everything's been in place, gone over. Parents have all seen the waivers and the thing for fall sports, and we're going to proceed as if we're going to go.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's one thing that I wanted to say. I want to say to the parents, actually, that I actually worked the COVID clinic. I was in full PPE. I did it for an entire week. I did not live elsewhere from my children. I came home, stripped, did all the necessary decontamination. My children never got sick. Children are far less likely to get serious complications from COVID-19. So I just wanted to say that because I think a lot of parents are worried. And I understand that it is a serious illness, but the children that are getting it are far less severe, less hospitalizations in the pediatric hospitals. So I'm hoping that can ease some of your minds. The other thing I wanted to mention, if it goes to a hybrid model and some children have to go to daycare, what happens when they, let's say they're in AB, and then they go to daycare for Thursday, Friday, or they like, won't they cross-contaminate eventually, or because everyone is Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, no?
And that's a good question.
Okay.
That's a great question. And in fact, I had a phone call from a parent that stated, hey, I know we're in hybrid, if you have to go to hybrid, but Georgia, you know, if my students, or if my children then have to go to daycare and then they're coming back because they were with other students. However, by the regulations, we have to reduce the number of students in our building. And I get exactly what you're saying, but you know, with the guidelines that we would have being in yellow, our groups have to be much smaller than if they are in green. And I understand children would be going to daycare, and you're right, they're mixing with other students.
Okay. Would there be a possibility, so it has to be physically in the building or in the classroom? Like, could you use this space for some instruction and things like that?
Yes, and we do plan on using large group areas. In fact, this is one of them, and all of our schools do, even at the elementaries, as far as their cafeterias, libraries, etc. Yes. Yes, so where possible, if social distancing to that 6 feet is unattainable, we would look for areas in which it could occur.
And will the teachers be wearing masks?
Our plan is for teachers to either wear a mask and or a shield or both.
And you think the students are going to be able to understand them?
Good question. These are all the questions that came on the survey. So you're absolutely right.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
No, you're right on.
Thanks.
There's a couple of interesting things happening in the world right now. As you might know, Sweden has gone back to school for a number of months now. They started opening schools probably in April or beginning of April or May during the height of this pandemic. We don't know any research from them yet. They haven't published it. We don't know results are. We don't know what's happened to those kids. We don't know what's happened to their contacts. It would be extremely helpful if we did, because that would help us relax about this or get more worried about it. France and Germany and Spain and Italy have also sent their children back to school full-time, brick and mortar. Once again, we have no idea what their experience is yet. It hasn't been published. What we do know is that the state of New York has reported 285 cases of multi-inflammatory syndrome. This is like an immune response to disease in kids. We don't know how many children were infected in New York. That's a problem. We don't know if 285 kids got sick out of 1 million infected, or we don't know if 285 kids ended up with the syndrome out of 1,000 kids. We're just not aware of that because those statistics haven't presented very clearly. I've done a lot of research about this, and I'm not quite sure. So these are questions we don't know the answers to. That's the whole problem with this whole pandemic. We just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where it's going to go, but we are planning in our school district to try to cover all the bases so that when things finally do come down the road, well, a coherent strategy so everybody understands where we're going. Hopefully, what we'll find out from Sweden, and France, and Germany, and Italy, and Japan. I think Japan sent their kids back to school too, but frankly, they make everyone wear a mask. They're totally different than the rest of the world. They're requiring masks. But that Asian culture has always required masks in any kind of infectious situation. If you look at their flu season in those kind of countries, they make everybody wear a mask that goes to school. We do know some results from South Korea and Japan as far as sending kids back to school. I hope what happens is that they come back to us and say, look, it doesn't matter what you do. We're going to send the kids back and they're not going to get sick and they're going to be fine. And we're not going to bring it home and get grandma sick or grandpa sick. And we don't have to worry about people dying in the hospital. So that's where we're at right now. And if anybody else has any comments, I'd love to hear them.
Hi, I'm Justin Jeffries. I live at 211 Kingsbrook in Unity Township. I've spoken quite a bit to Dr. Tucker. Thank you for your time. I guess my only comment or question would be, in my household, anything shy of red phase, we're both working till 5 p.m. I have one going into second, one going into kindergarten, and one about to be 3 years old. We have about 2.5 hours to say hi, eat dinner, and get back to bedtime. So Wednesday through Friday, my wife's a teacher, so she'll be teaching her classes. They won't be teaching me. So what type of leniency, the asynchronous learning, is that like on a Saturday, Sunday model? Is there a leeway of time to get your things accomplished to be present for those classrooms? And actually, the AAP recommends a 3-foot distance. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes,
so
we did.
it's not just a 6 foot for children, it's more like a 3-foot maximum.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I guess going into this, I thought there were going to be more opportunity for us to share ideas of what a hybrid model would look like. I'm very impressed with what Hempfield's doing, and wanted to know if that was ever considered, like leaving kids that can be independent, home and independent, while children that can't be independent show up in maybe not their building or their classroom, but somewhere where they can be distanced.
Yes, so to answer your question, we did have many discussions about different models and about Hempfield just rolled it out. In fact, I had the letter from Tammy Walicki on Friday, their superintendent, about their elementary children attending. And that definitely has been considered. When you ask about what type of leniency would be given to students for parents who work and if schools are shut down, when we're in a red phase, because that's what happened, they were shut down. Actually, they were shut down in the yellow phase as well. We would definitely provide lenience and opportunities and adjust the instructional program for your child to the very best of our ability. We understand the situation that parents are in. You're working during red. We're working during red. Excuse me. That's why the goal is to get back to green. But God forbid if we would be in red, we would definitely work with the families on those stipulations for academic completion.
I'm sorry, even in yellow, because I guess that was my real question.
In yellow as well too, yes. I don't know, it was brought up before because if parents aren't able to work with their children on the time that they're on online learning at home, modifications have to be made for those families. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katya Walty, and I live at 618 Spring Street, Latrobe. My main question is 504 plans. When we go into red, we had a little bit of a difficulty because it seemed like with the disability, he was not getting any help from his teachers on like what was expected of him. And I was just wondering like how that would work if we do end up back in red.
Sure. Mrs. Delovish, and I know there was a lot of work with individuals with IEPs and 504 plans when we did go out March 13th, but if you could elaborate our continued plan for that.
Sure, absolutely. Students with 504 plans also will be following a team approach to any decisions. So if we were back in the red model or even in the hybrid model, we would strongly encourage your school counselor, the school nurse, building principal, teachers, certainly your family, and the child, if applicable and age appropriate, to participate in a meeting to discuss any kind of accommodations or additional support that's needed. Again, it would have to be very individualized based on the child's needs.
Okay, and then another question was, if the teachers have to wear a mask, my neighbor wanted to know, how will kindergartners be able to learn to read, not being able to see the teacher pronounce the vowels and all that stuff?
And I think that's a great question. Again, it goes back to the recommendations for social distancing, and if the teacher can keep the social distance from that child when they're teaching within a 6 feet span, you know, the possibility of not wearing a mask for a teacher for what they're doing with their children in that length or even more than 6 feet for social distancing. It comes to the point where you come in less than 3 feet and you're in contact with an individual for 15 minutes or greater. That's what we're being told by the medical profession, and that's what we've been just told today from Dr. Mills as well.
And then the last question
A
is...
shield too, though. A shield they would be able to hear them through versus a mask, a plastic shield.
And the last question is, I am a parent of a child who is very high risk. He does have kidney disease. How will that, how will it look for him if we go back to school completely?
If you chose in whatever your position and you as a parent that feels best for your student, whether it is to remain at home, whether it is to come hybrid or full-time, we would work with you for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good evening, Mike Webb, 214 Kingbrook Drive, Unity. What is the protocol? I appreciate what you're saying about the pause. If a student tests positive in the green phase or the yellow phase in the classroom, or a teacher or a member of staff, what is the protocol at that point in time?
I can speak to that.
Thank you.
Mrs. Delovish, you were personally on the phone with Dr. Mills at 4:30, 5 o'clock today, so you might be able to reiterate it more than I receiving it secondhand.
Sure. 5/12, I was on the phone with Dr. Mills very recently. If we had a student or a staff member that was diagnosed, I think the most important thing is to encourage everyone to please report that back to the school. As you can imagine, testing would not occur at the school. If a student presented or a staff member presented with symptoms that might be consistent with COVID, all we could do would be notify the family of the symptoms. We can't provide any testing here at the school. So the testing would have to be done at a medical facility, and then we would strongly encourage families or the staff member to report any results back to the school. We can't mandate that results are reported, but in looking out for the health, welfare, and safety of your fellow community members, we would strongly encourage anyone who receives a positive test to report that to your school nurse, building principal, or other administrator. And then at that time, the recommendation from Dr. Mills would be for us to contact the health department for the most up-to-date regulations, including any need to quarantine individuals who have been in immediate contact with the person who had tested positive.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Angela Altman. I live at 127 Greenwell Street, New Alexandria, Unity Township. And my son is a senior coming up this year, and he goes to VOTAC. And my question is I understand that if we're brick and mortar, he will go and it's going to be like regular day or whatever. But if we go to the yellow phase or the red, how will VOTAC look for him being a senior?
If we would go to the yellow phase, the Career Technology Center could still accommodate the students daily. And with the yellow phase, we would be hybrid. So a Career Technology Center student would have the option. They could ride the bus in or transport into school. And if they are AM, Career Tech Center, your son would be PM. So let's say PM. They would have the choice to bus in the morning if they needed that to do that. We would have an area here in the school for them to participate in their online instruction, and then the bus would transport them to the Career Technology Center in the afternoon, and then back for dismissal. If it is in the red phase and schools are closed, I would have to defer the plan to Todd Weimer, who is the Executive Director at EWCTC, but I can tell you that we've met and with Ligonier, Dairy, and the WCTC, and one of the reasons our hybrid model is the days that it is to make certain that we are aligning with our students, or with the schools and with our students to enable the best possible way for them to continue their career and technology education.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Hi, Tammy Bailey, 117 Irving Avenue. I first want to give a shout out to Mrs. Golovish and Mr. Joe for all their awesome work this summer, especially Mr. Joe giving me phone calls, seeing how my son was doing, who has an IEP. So thank you, Mr. Joe. I have a couple of questions regarding schooling. We talked about AB modules here and making sure that siblings are on the same AB. So my oldest is going to be high school, my youngest is still elementary. Would they both be on an A day? And, and not be mixed A, B day?
Yes, and building principals, we've already worked out our household groups. That's been determined. And now we just need to contact parents, which we will be doing within the next couple of weeks, to discuss about the days that their children would be attending.
My other question is there talks about possibly starting school earlier this year? As you hear, colleges are starting to do that. They're looking to start it earlier and dismissing their students at Thanksgiving and not coming back to the new year, just to have that big gap instead of them coming in. We only have 2.5 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Has Latrobe thought about starting earlier?
That comment came up once, and we are not going to be starting earlier again because we are with two other school districts, Ligonier and Dairy, and EWCTC, and our calendars are aligned with each other. Our goal is to start plus the time that we have. In addition, we also have with the collective bargaining agreement and set calendars for teachers to have in service days prior to the start of the year as well.
I don't think a lot of people know, we're going to a 2-bell system for junior high and high school, is that correct?
Yes, that's on the agenda this evening.
Okay,
which would be more convenient for parents as well. This has been discussed, a 2-bell schedule for years, since I've been here, 22 years. So our junior and senior high students will attend during the same time, and our elementary students will actually be getting home earlier than they have in the past, and especially during those winter months would be quite helpful.
As for the AB days, we're going 5 days a week, hopefully to start for the school year. Will parents be notified prior to the school year or when the school year starts what group they're going to be in case we go to AB?
Absolutely. Within the next 2 weeks, you will be notified.
Okay.
By mid-July, parents will be notified about what group their child will be in if we have to go to the AB hybrid schedule.
And my last question is regarding kids coming in sick. I know it drives me nuts to see parents say, oh, my kid threw up last night. Oh, and they broke their cold here and they're going back to school. What is the protocol that the school's going to do for kids who call out sick or threw up in school or they have a temperature? What are you looking at and how they're going to be able to re-enter back into that? Because not every, COVID is close to flu-like symptoms also. So you don't know if it's flu, you don't know it's COVID, we're going to hit fall, it's going to be flu season on top of it. What is the school's protocol on kids coming back after being sick?
Our protocol is outlined specifically in our return to school safety plan and will be posted, but I will let Mrs. Delobish in a short synopsis because it can go very long on how we will respond, answer that question.
Yes, as Dr. Shepard said, the summary of the plan will be posted online for everyone to view. In the short answer, we will have plans for a sick health room and a well health room so that students who need to report with routine medical needs such as medication management, diabetes management, etc., can report to a separate area than students who are suspected to be sick or have any kind of sick-like symptoms. They'll be in a separate area so that we're not crossing students or groups of kids.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann. I live at 121 Secluded Lane in Latrobe. And this is just a quick question. If you have A, B group, is it definitely written that it'll be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off, Thursday, Friday? Or are we going to do like 1 week A, 1 week B?
It will be Monday, Tuesday, Group A, Thursday, Friday, Group B, everybody off on Wednesday.
Okay, because I've heard rumors that it might be 1 week A, 1 week B.
It's in the continuity of education plan that was handed out, so all the information will be in here, but detailed specifics will be forthcoming from your building administrators.
Okay, and I also like to thank everybody because we didn't have computers or internet, and you guys provided all that in order for my daughter to do all this in-home stuff, and it worked really well for her.
You are
So
welcome.
thank you.
Good. You're glad. Thank you.
I think we got everybody, I hope. I just had a funny thought about this mentor program for junior high school, taking the kids in and showing them the school and having a mentor. I don't know if any of you guys remember Mr. Big and his Big Johnson t-shirt collection. That was our junior high school program. It was kind of different back then. I see some people do remember that. Anyways, let's get on with the show. I thank you all for your comments and your questions. We appreciate your patience with us tonight. We're going to move on with the meeting. I move for the adoption of resolution number 257, which is approval of last meeting's minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Legislative report, Dr. Tepper.
Yes, thank you. I'd ask the board to please move on resolution number 258 to approve resolution calling for the General Assembly to provide critical support and mandate relief benefiting public schools and students. This is because of the COVID and the loss of local revenue that will occur for schools.
Second. We have a motion, it's been seconded. Have any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Solicitor's report, Mr. Nichols.
I recommend that you move on resolution number 259, the approval of the Kennemetal tax appeal settlement for the people that are here. This was a tax assessment appeal filed by Kennemetal. The tax assessment appeal filed by Kennemetal, and this is a very fair resolution both to the school district, the taxpayers, and also to Kennemetal. I'd like to thank members of our legal team, the county, my associate Brian Cribs, Gary Valatovich from Unity Township, Merle Music, who helped us on this matter. And I'd also like to thank Kennemetal. We worked out a reasonable settlement. We recognize that Kennemetal is one of our largest employers, and they're very, very valuable to us and the programs that they do. And we worked well together throughout, even though we were adversaries in the courtroom, and we were able to bring this case to a settlement that we believe is fair for both sides. So I would ask for a motion on Resolution 259, the approval of the Kennemetal tax.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion that's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, any questions or comments first? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution passes as listed. Education and Planning, Mrs. Maines.
Thank you, Dr. George. I received a lovely note from one of our student reps from the past school year, and I was asked to read it to the Board of School Directors, so if you'll allow me, I will do that first. Dear Board of School Directors, thank you so much for the Amazon gift card. It will be put to good use for college. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of the school board. It was a lot of fun. Sincerely, Sophia Pope. She considered that a lot of fun.
But she got paid.
She got a gift.
She got a gift.
You know, this is kind of fun though, because this is the first school board meeting we've actually been in person with for how long now. I actually had to wear pants tonight.
Okay. Mr. Barone, would you mind commenting on the enrollment report?
We had to wear pants.
Yeah, we have Zoom meetings. Nobody knows what they're going on.
The enrollment report's attached. The only thing that I would say is that we currently have 194 students registered for kindergarten. No doubt that is COVID related. I think some folks are, you know, if they were on the fence about sending their child to kindergarten or not, maybe waiting it out to see what next year brings, and that's just fine. But we are at 194, and I don't anticipate that number going up as much as it normally would between now and August. It's attached for your review.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Franca. Resolution number 260 is to approve the Greater Latrobe School District's phased school opening health and safety plan for the 2021 school year and authorize administration to submit the plan to the Pennsylvania Department of Education and post publicly on the district website as required. So moved for resolution number 260.
Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion that's been made regarding the phase opening plan of Lake Charles School District. It's been seconded. Are there any questions or comments on the motion? Certainly, we've had a public forum regarding this process, and we're going to go ahead and move forward with that. I ask all those in favor to say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
Likewise, resolution number 261 is to approve the Greater Latrobe School District Continuity of Education Plan for the 2020-21 school year and authorize administration to submit the plan to the Pennsylvania Department of Education and post publicly on the district website as required. Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
As is usual for this time of year, resolutions number 262 through 267 all are approving agreements and programs, etc., that we will use for our students throughout the year. So I'm going to bundle those resolutions. Number 262 is to approve the Quillian Heights Service Agreement for the 2021 school year. Resolution number 263 is to approve the Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf 2019-20 Summer Extended School Year Program. Resolution number 264 is to approve Westmoreland Intermediate Student Services Interagency Service rates and re-elected services for the 2021 school year. Resolution number 265 is to approve the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Lending Library Agreement, kits and equipment for the 2021 school year. Resolution number 266 is to approve the Pennsylvania Educators Clearinghouse contract with service, and 267 is to approve the Seton University dual enrollment program for the 2021 school year. So moved on all of those.
Do you have a second on all those motions?
Second.
All those, any questions or comments? As stated, these are all routine reapprovals that we do just about every year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's passed unanimously.
I move for adoption resolution number 268 to approve the ECAT Academy Memorandum of Understanding between GLSD and GLEA for the 2021 school year.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes as listed.
I move for adoption of resolution number 269 to approve the tuition rates for the 1920 school year. They are elementary, $9,626.41, and secondary, $10,125.14.
We have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on the motion? I think you said 10,125. I have 10,175.14.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I move for adoption of resolution number 270 to approve the tuition to students for the 2021 school year as listed.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes as listed.
And I also move for adoption of resolution number 271 to approve the application to the Pennsylvania Department of Education for flexible instructional days program.
Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And the next curriculum committee meeting will be held on September 15th, 2020,